All right, welcome to the last lesson of Unit 4. It says let's solve some gnarly problems, and the problems are pretty difficult. They're word problems, and they're supposed to be hard so that, when you take a quiz or a quest or whatever, next week it'll be not so bad because these problems are kind of meant to be much harder than what you would actually take a test on. They were meant to solve in groups. Of course, you're not going to be able to do that, so just try your best. There are no practice problems for this, it's just a few word problems. And yeah, if you get stuck on them, just join the help session. Okay, so the warm up says the car is driving towards home at 0.5 miles per minute. If the car is 4 miles from home at time equals 0, which of the following can represent the distance that the car has left to drive? So we know a couple of things. We know it's going at 0.5 miles per minute, and we know that it's 4 miles away, 4 miles from home, and that's at time of 0. Okay. So you could think of it as like a number line, if that kind of helps. And you could see, like, here's the car, and the car is, that's a terrible car, is a distance of 4 miles away from the house. And you could also look at it as like that the car has how much left to go, or how much time left to get home. So we know for sure, like, this is your time. The miles per minute is your time. So we know we're gonna have to have 0.5 t, which doesn't really eliminate anything because of the fact that they all have 0.5 t in them. But we also know 4 has to be in it in some regards, so we automatically know that it cannot be the first one because it has to include 4 because of the 4 mile thing. So it's saying that the car is 4 miles from home, and it wants to know how much longer the car has left to drive. So the t is representing like how much time is left. You know that you've gone 4 miles. So you're saying, like, if I've already gone 4 miles, well, how much more time do I have? So what would make most sense would be to have the 4 here, and you take away the time that you have left from the miles that you've gone, and that'll give you how much more you went, if that makes sense. And if you wrote it the other way around, that's fine too, like negative 0.5 t plus 4. Okay, so there's all of these word problems. If you notice, I've only have through number 5 on here because we're not working in groups. I will say that these problems require you to write your own problem. So here you are create your own. These other problems, these 3, you are just solving. So you're solving those, like just normal solving. Okay, so we're going to go through this first problem together, and then I'm going to leave the rest of it for you guys since you don't have any practice problems today. Okay, so it says 2 friends live 7 miles apart. One Saturday, the 2 friends set out on their bikes at 8 a.m. and start to ride towards each other. One rides at 0.2 miles per hour, miles per minute, and the other rides at 0.15 miles per minute. At what time do the 2 friends meet? So they give you a lot of information, and most of the information is going to go into the problem, but a little bit of the information you're actually not really going to use until the end. So there's 2 friends, and one of them is going 0.2, we'll just say x, right? Because, like, as if you're doing slope, speed, whatever, you just put an x there. and the other one is going 0.15. But if you were to draw this as a picture, like over here, you have one person, and then you have the other person, and they live 7 miles apart. So if this was a number line, this would be the negative end of the number line. This would be the positive end of the number line. And this is the only way I can explain this problem, because this is just a really hard problem. They're expecting you to remember so much, and we really haven't covered this. So don't expect to have to do this on a test. All right. So they're 7 miles apart, right? One of them is traveling this direction. The other one is traveling this direction. So one is traveling towards the negative, so this one would have a negative value, and the other one's traveling towards the positive, so that would have a positive value. It's like when you're working with slope, right? Like, is the slope negative or positive? What way is the line traveling? Kind of same idea, except it's just a horizontal line. It's not going at an angle. So the first person is what? Let's just say this is a 0.2, and let's say this is the 0.15. Okay. If you did it the other way, would it make a difference? I don't know. You could do it the other way and see if you get the same answer, if you want to test that theory out. Okay. So that means that our one equation is just going to be plain y equals 0.2x, because it's going into the positive, right? The 0.2 is traveling this way, it's traveling towards the positive. And then your other equation is traveling in the negative direction, so that's why there's a negative there. Just because they're moving at each other, one of them has got to be negative, right? Okay. And then we can't forget that they're 7 miles apart. So let's just say that we tack on the 7 miles here, like that. If you added the 7 miles to the other one, I didn't try it that way, but I wonder if you'd get the same answer. Try it, see. Okay, so we take this, we put it here. So we've got 0.2, and then you got this thing. X equals negative 0.15x plus 7. And you add to the other side. And then you bring down your 7. That goes away. So 7 equals 0.20. So that would be 5, and that would be 3. 0.35x, I divide by 0.35, divide by 0.35. And I cannot do that quickly without a calculator, so I'm going to use calculator. 7 divided by 0.35, and you get 20. Okay, cool. So what that is telling you is that it would take 20 minutes for them to meet. So if they left at, what time did they leave at? 8 a.m. You just have to do, oops. So then for your answer, you're going to do 8 a.m. plus 20 minutes. Then you're going to get 8:20. That is the time in which they will cross paths. In this case, there's really no point in going back and finding y. If we were to go back and find y, what would we get? We would go y equals 0.2 times 20, which is 4. Can I do decimal math in my head? Yeah, 4. Which doesn't really have anything to do with the answer that they want. So you don't really have to worry about that. But if you wanted to know what it was, there you go. Okay, so this was a pretty tricky problem. Problem number 2 is very straightforward and it's not that difficult. Problem number 3, we'll just call this a challenge. Try your best. I want you to at least try. So even if you can only get, half, like just one of the equations, whatever, just do what you can. For number 4 and number 5, you are making your own problems, so you can just kind of copy the format of one of these and change up the numbers. Like question number 2 is a super, super straightforward question, so I would kind of write something similar to number 2. So maybe use number 2 as a guide. And then remember, this is meant to be super challenging so that when you go and take your quiz next week, your quiz test, that this will, it'll seem easier because this was so hard. And if you can create a problem, that actually makes, completes the whole circle of understanding. So it'll actually be easier to then go solve problems once you've had to create one. At least that's the theory. So try your best to create a problem. If you need to, Google something to help you, that's fine. But remember, you do need a solution. So you have to show a solution, which is you. You're showing the solution. And that's it. All right. Good luck. And remember, ask for help if you need it.